If you are listening to this right now, it means something very, very specific. It means that despite everything that has happened to you within your life, despite every single day that felt unbearable, despite those moments where you genuinely didn't know if you were going to keep going or not, you did. And you didn't do it perfectly, and you didn't do it gracefully, but you still did it. And now you're here, and I need you to understand what that actually means, because it's so easy to dismiss being here as a cliche when your mind is trying to convince you that this time is different. You have already lived through days that you were certain would break you. Days where the future felt like an abstract concept that no longer applied to you, where you felt like you wanted to end it all right then and there. It's days when your thoughts weren't about the next year or the next month, but simply about getting through the next hour, even the next minute, the next moment. It was the next conversation and the next breath that mattered to you so much, not the next decade. And you obviously remember how convincing those moments felt to you. It's how permanent that pain felt, how permanent the pain seemed to you, how logical and how hopeless you sounded in your own head, even though everything was just being justified in the moment. However, those days passed, those days did end, and it's not because everything suddenly made sense to you, it's not because you solved the problem, but it's simply because time moved forward anyway, and you chose to move with it. Survival does not look like strength in those moments. Survival looks like staying alive when your mind is telling you not to care anymore and telling you not to survive. It looks like doing the bare minimum, the absolute minimum, to keep your life from collapsing further. It looks like eating something when you don't want to. It looks like answering a message that you wish you could ignore and you hoped you didn't have to respond to. It simply looks like getting out of bed even though nothing about the day feels worth engaging with. That is not weakness. Those moments are endurance. And endurance is what keeps people alive when inspiration and motivation and hope have all left the room. They've all left you stranded. Every single bad day you survived taught you something. It left a mark on your life. Not all of them made you wiser or stronger in a way that you can articulate right now. Some of them simply taught you how to carry that weight quietly. They taught you what it felt like to feel things fall apart without any warning to it. And they taught you how to keep functioning and how to keep going while something inside you stayed unfinished. And you did not walk away untouched. You adapted and you adjusted to these scenarios. And adaptation doesn't have to be something glamorous. Instead, it was simply real to you in that moment. Now, what matters right now is that the voice in your head that is telling you this moment is unbearable has spoken to you before. It sounded just as convincing then as it does now, and it made the same exact promises about permanence, about how this is going to affect your life forever. It told you the same exact lies over and over about how things would never change and how you're at the end of the road and everything should just finish here. And it's about, that pain being final. It told you those same lies. And yet, every single time, without your permission, it was proven wrong. It was proven wrong by the simple fact that you are still breathing, by the simple fact that you are watching this video. It's a testament to the fact that you survived those tough days. This isn't about pretending that everything gets better. It's not about that. Sometimes it doesn't get better in the way that people like to advertise to you. Sometimes it gets quieter, as a matter of fact. Sometimes it gets different. Sometimes the pain doesn't even disappear. It might get more amplified, or sometimes it just stops screaming at you. But surviving is not about guaranteeing happiness and success. Surviving is about staying around long enough for the shape of your life to change again, for the shape of your life to become something that you may one day be happy with, because it always does. It always changes. Every single thing you do, every action you implement upon your life changes you, quietly or loudly, even when you're convinced it won't change your life. Right now, you do not see the future clearly. There is no one who can see the future clearly. There's no prophets. There's no, nobody can foretell their exact life. And the thing about that is that you don't need to see the future clearly. You don't need to believe in yourself to succeed later. You don't need to feel strong or hopeful or inspired or motivated. You only need to understand one phrase, one sentence. You have already made it through moments that felt just as, if not more, impossible than this one. The version of you that survived those days existed inside of you, and even if you don't feel like it right now, they carried the weight when you couldn't, and they got you here. So what is stopping them from being you in this exact moment? People underestimate how powerful that is, because survival does not announce itself. There is no applause for making it through a night that you would think would swallow you whole. You might think that your life was over that night, but you made it through. Just the very fact that you made it to the next day just proves that you can make it through this exact moment as well. There is no recognition from everyone else around you. There's no like validation for staying alive when staying alive feels meaningless, but that doesn't make it small. It doesn't need to have applause to be something big. Instead, it's essential. It is essential to your survival. If you feel like giving up, that doesn't mean that you're weak inherently in the moment. It might mean that you're tired. It might mean that you've been carrying something heavy for such a long time that you want to put it back down. And being tired is not a verdict on your future. That's the key difference between being tired and being weak. Being weak kind of does affect your future, because if you're weak, then you have no control over it. If you're tired, you simply need to recover. You simply need to get up, you need to take your rest first, and then you come back even stronger. It's simply just a signal that you've been carrying a lot more than anyone else around you can see. And you don't have to solve your life today. If you're tired, then what's the point of trying to fix everything in one day if it's just going to exhaust you even more? You don't have to make sense of your pain. You don't have to justify staying. All you have to do is allow the day to pass, because this hour will pass. If you just let this moment go, it will pass. And you've done that 1 billion times before. If you count the seconds, the microseconds, the moments, literally every instantaneous moment, you've allowed it to pass before. So allow it now. Even when you didn't think you could, you did. So what is stopping you from doing it now? It's not like it's an accident. Your life has gotten you to where you are on purpose. The very fact that you're here right now means that those worst days did not win upon you. They didn't get the final word. They didn't get the final say. They did not decide who or how, your story ended. They didn't decide who you were in that story. They happened and they hurt and they changed you, yet they still did pass. So if your mind is telling you over and over that this is the end of your story, just remember right now, just remember in this exact moment that it has said that to you before 1,000 times. It has said that to you before when something small happened to you. You might look back and think how small that was, yet in that moment it felt so major, it felt so big. And that just proves that you can survive this moment. And again, it's not because life suddenly became easy that you survived those moments, but it's simply because you stuck through it. It's because you stayed. And staying, even without hope, even without inspiration for a future, even without clarity about what is going to happen to you once you stay, is enough to keep that door open to a future that you cannot see yet, that you cannot predict. You don't need to be okay. You don't need to be good. You don't need to be happy. You just need to be here right now. And right now, that exact moment, this exact moment that I'm talking to you in, that matters so much more than you know, because you're going to look back upon it